2024, we had every single Nordic combo bench on the market in our garage at one time. We pitted them against each other in our Nordic Combo Showdown, and the Nordic Hyper GHD came out victorious. Then a week later, Freak Athlete dropped the Hyper Pro and ruined the entire thing. We've been using ours for the past year with myself, my wife, my daughter, and basically everyone who entered our gym, and we've been lucky enough to have every single one of their attachments to test and tinker with as well. In that time, we've realized that there is a lot of good, some not so good stuff going on with Hyper Pro. Ultimately, this might still be the best Nordic combo bench on the market, but it isn't the best solution for everyone. So today we're going to drop the most comprehensive look at the Hyper Pro with all the fixings for you, so you can decide if this is the next addition to your gym or not. Don't you hate it when leg day rolls around and you have to pull out all these machines?
3 hours later.
What if I told you you could replace all of these and more with just one machine? Hi, Joe Gray here for the Freak Athlete Hyper Pro, the revolutionary 7-in-1 machine that lets you train Nordic curls, glute ham raises, back extensions, decline sit-ups, GHD sit-ups, hip thrusts, and reverse hypers, maybe not reverse hypers, in just one machine that is easily movable, stores vertically, and doesn't break the bank. But wait, there's more. With the new leg developer kit, you can add in leg curls and leg extensions as well, making it a 9-in-1. And the leg developer can even be used with your cable machine. But wait, there's more. The leg developer kit now has a belt squat attachment, giving it belt squats and calf raises, making it 11-in-1. But wait, there's more. You can add on the upper body kit and make this a 10,000-in-1 machine. What's up everyone, Joe Gray here today to talk about the Freak Athlete Hyper Pro. That intro was a fun little way to poke at this piece that seems to claim to do everything, is perpetually on some kind of discount, always has ads running, and seems to always have something else coming around the corner. Today we're going to dive into all of that, as we have had the Hyper Pro in our garage since August of 2024. This review will cover all the movements and details of the Hyper Pro, including use of the GHD pad, the leg developer, the cable attachment for the leg developer, the upper body kit, and the belt squat kit. I'm also going to share some of the tips, tricks, and hacks, as you will, of how we get the most out of this bad boy in our space. And then we'll wrap up with a who should buy this, who should buy any of the other options on the market, and maybe who should just skip the Nordic curl revolution entirely. Quick housekeeping items for you. The Hyper Pro, along with all the fixings, was sent for free for review. I'm also a product tester for Freak Athlete, hence why I have all the toys before anyone else does, and they sponsor the Garage Gym competition. I also have an affiliate link with Freak Athlete, so at the end of this video, if you decide to buy the Hyper Pro or any of the attachments, I'll have links in the description for you. Using them helps me do my work here and costs you nothing. I appreciate the support. Let's dig into the Hyper Pro. The Hyper Pro now has every step of the assembly process individually bagged up and labeled, and it comes with a full video walkthrough to help you assemble it. This is clutch because there are a decent number of parts, knobs, and various doodads necessary for this to be assembled correctly. The Hyper Pro has a basic black powder coat throughout, nothing as nice as a rep bench, but it'll get the job done. We've noticed that in a few places where we have things like the rollers coming on and off, it does have some scratches though. The magic happens with the pop pins throughout the Hyper Pro that come in different colors in an attempt to make adjustments easier. If you asked me blindly to tell you what color knob does what, I would have no idea. But the adjustments are second nature to me at this point. I think you just need time to learn and adjust, so the color coordination isn't exactly a win in my book. You've got a more aesthetic look with the new vinyl than the previous Nordic Hyper GHD, which is now available on all the padding and attachments. The Hyper Pro has wheels and vertical storage that work well and help something this big mostly disappear when not in use. Even when I have to navigate an overly crowded garage with stuff I'm reviewing, it moves around fairly easily. The vertical storage bar, however, is a big downgrade in my opinion compared to the original Nordic Hyper. It is like a tow hitch on the back that at some point you're going to bump into and nail your shin. Now, you can drop that back piece down, but when I went to go move the Hyper Pro back into storage mode, forgot to put it back up, almost dumped it on the floor entirely. Now, the reason why they need that storage post is because they added a longer U-frame to the back of the unit to improve stability. Because of this, the entire unit is quite a bit longer. For a tightly packed garage gym, even in my space with an open side of the garage, this can be troublesome. In general, the Hyper Pro is a bit more of a budget item than some of the other pieces in my garage when it comes to the build and finish. This still won't live in a gym where people expect commercial quality paint, parts, and finish, but it'll get the job done in a home gym environment without too many sacrifices. As mentioned, the Hyper Pro is going to unlock a lot of options, and that is really going to be our bread and butter discussion today. So let's start with Nordic Curls. If the Hyper Pro did nothing but Nordic Curls, I'd wager it still might be the best Nordic Curl bench on the market. It has the most regression options available, it even has decline options, and it is about as stable as a unit can be with this amount of adjustments. The Hyper Pro still suffers from the side-to-side play when getting into position, which is simply the nature of a center post design. But I know some of my pickier home gym enthusiasts want a rock-solid ride from beginning to end. This is not that. But with the added U-frame in the back, the stability in use has been improved. I'm able to knock out Nordic Curls from 45 down to flat without any real movement going on during use. And remember that I'm 6 foot 240-ish, this thing doesn't even flinch for anyone else in my household. The foot rollers are adjustable for athletes of basically all sizes, and we've had kids well under 4 feet here. We also have 2 rollers, which helps lock your feet in place and helps with your power for Nordics. Having used units with just 1 roller before, I can confidently say that 2 is better than 1. The foot plate is wide enough for any athlete we've had in our gym, but it certainly doesn't stand up to something like a Westside or Elite Fitness GHD with the really wide plate. The base block's Nord Plus had such a small foot plate, however, that my toes didn't come in contact with it at all. So we don't have the super wide, but we also don't have those issues here with the Hyper Pro. Because the bench here is longer than some of the others on the market, you have the ability to get a little oomph out of the bottom. This makes Nordic Curls much easier, similar to something like a cheat curl. I can bang out reps in the flat position with a little oomph, and I'm back to about the 35-degree regression if I get super strict on my form. Overall, I couldn't personally ask for anything more in a Nordic Curl bench for my own personal garage gym. The same setup for decline Nordics on the Hyper Pro gives you access to decline sit-ups. I've never personally been a fan of this movement. I just find it awkward to get into place, do a tough set, and then get out without falling over. Luckily, the science is trending in my direction towards hypertrophy being greatly impacted by the stretch portion of a movement, which decline sit-ups essentially have no stretch. So I can basically ignore this movement after finishing this review, I guess. But this is there, it is an option, and it works as well as anything else I've used for this purpose. And since it is baked into the Hyper Pro, instead of needing an additional attachment like most benches, I'll give a slight edge to the Hyper Pro for this one. The Freak Athlete Hyper Pro uses the same angle adjustments for Nordic Curls as it does for back extensions, meaning that we can go all the way up to 45 degrees. You can even go completely horizontal by lifting the back side of the bench up as well. Most people are probably going to land at one of the extremes here, doing 45 degrees for a glute and hamstring dominant back extension, and horizontal for a low back dominant back extension. I like the addition of the schlong slot, even if I think these tend to not work as well as they are intended to work. The downside to the Hyper Pro compared to a commercial back extension is the main frame support is in the way of loading up most heavy options, and the machine itself isn't super high off the ground. If you plan to do anything beyond a single dumbbell, medicine ball or weighted vest, you're going to need to get creative here. Luckily, I've got two creative options for you. First is to hook up a cable machine with a few parts from Amazon. You can run a cable through a pulley and now you have cable-driven back extensions, limited by whatever your machine can handle. And second, we'll prop up the hip thrust post, attach the Voltra bar mount, connect the Voltra 1, and set up the Atlas bar. This is the best back extension setup we've figured out in our space so far. Since Freak Athlete is going to be releasing the Atom in the near future, I'm hoping that they will have some kind of solution for something similar. Overall, back extensions are better on the Hyper Pro than any other home gym type back extension solution we've used, and it is made even better with the hacks I've shown. An excellent use of pieces and parts that we already have is the hip thrust and split squat option for the Hyper Pro. We have an adjustable pad, which means we can accommodate different size athletes. I've hit a 500-pound hip thrust here and had no issues, though I would make sure if you're going really heavy to have something behind the machine to make sure it doesn't slide out from underneath you. There are only a couple of gripes I have with this function overall. First is the size. The Hyper Pro is a fairly long machine on its own at 5 feet. Now add your body length to the front of it and you now need about 8+ feet of open space to make this work. If you use a bar, you now need an even larger space, which is effectively the size of a small SUV. That length also means that the Hyper Pro can't fit well with other pieces like a cable machine or even in smaller garage spaces. And second is that you have no way of using bands for hip thrusts. Contrast this with something like our Booty Sprout Pro that uses bands, can fit in tight spaces to work with other equipment, and you've got a more small space friendly hip thrust solution. The pad on the Hyper Pro also has some decent wobble to it, not enough that you'll fall over, but enough that heavier hip thrusts can certainly be a little more sketch. So this isn't our favorite hip thrust or split squat solution in our gym, but it is a good one if you don't have anything else. A huge improvement from the original Nordic Hyper GHD is the GHD Attachment. The new pad is a full-sized GHD curved pad that uses the same rail system as the back extension pad. This means you have adjustments for different size athletes, and something no other GHD does that I'm aware of is provide regression options for glute ham raises. Just like back extensions, it once again has the same pros and cons of stability. Say it with me this time, you have some side to side when getting set up, which goes away in use. I mentioned my favorite core exercises. GHD sit-ups is currently sitting at the top of that list. I don't see a good argument for choosing any GHD on the market over the Hyper Pro for almost anybody, especially home gym owners. Reverse hypers for the Hyper Pro are still not reverse hypers. Here's my simple argument. If you laid down on your bench, put your legs up and press them into the air, is your bench now a leg press? Of course not. A leg press is a machine built with a specific purpose that can be loaded and trained effectively. A reverse hyper is an actual machine with a pendulum arm that can be loaded and trained effectively. The Hyper Pro for a reverse hyper is simply a tall bench that you can swing your legs backwards on. Whether you angle it, add the GHD pad, use bands, or even rig up some DIY hack, it is not a reverse hyper. When Freak Athlete was first testing the leg developer, I managed to break mine on day 2. Most of my issues were around stability and being able to support the bigger boys in the home gym world. I was tossing around 4+ plates with my 240+ pound body, and things got a little wild. Once they fixed the Joe Gray problems, I demanded that they give us a cable hookup for it as well. Just like the rest of the Hyper Pro, the leg developer is fairly middle of the road in terms of finishing touches. It is insanely creative, but we have nylon pulleys instead of aluminum. The powder coat is basic, and some of the creative solutions to improve the stability make it a little less than ideal aesthetically. This is typically what we get when we make something like the Hyper Pro and then 6 months later decide to make an attachment for it. It was never designed to do this in the first place, so you have to design the attachment to work within the build of the machine instead of designing them together. The leg extension setup originally came with handles, but they kept falling out. So my understanding is that they've stopped including them. I believe you can ask for them if you do want them. Since we don't have a back pad, we don't have that wedge that happens in a dedicated machine. I often use my gym pin seat buckle for this and then just grab under the back extension pads and pull myself tight. For leg curls, taller athletes are going to run out of room and your face is going to be resting on the ankle pads. Now, I sure as hell don't want them to make this bad boy even longer, so this is just something we're stuck with. For storage for the leg developer, it could be improved. The GHD pad stores easily inside the top end of the Hyper Pro in vertical storage, but the leg developer needs its own space. It would be great if it's stored with the Hyper Pro somehow. Since the cable attachment showed up, I've essentially completely removed the weight horn from the front piece of the leg developer. This does reduce the footprint of the unit, but it still isn't perfect. If you don't have a good open spot under a mass storage unit like I do, you really need to think through this before purchasing. My wife has a bad knee from a soccer injury as a kid. So when she uses the leg developer, we need to toss a pad under her to elevate and reduce the amount of stretch in the start position. From my understanding, you can ask Freak Athlete for a pad and they'll send you a second Nordic pad to accomplish this if you happen to buy the leg developer and find it to be a bit much. There are a couple small quirks with using the leg developer and a cable machine to keep in mind. First is that you need to position the Hyper Pro in a perfect position from your cable machine. Now, my Voltra makes this easier because I can set up the Hyper Pro a little too far, pull the cable in place, and have the Voltra adjust the starting position. But for those with a more standard cable machine, you're going to need to nail that position every time you set up. Overall, this is currently my favorite leg developer in my gym. Now, this isn't a prime fitness leg curl leg extension machine, but it might just be the best bench attachment on the market right now, and I've handled nearly all of them. But we have some potential winners coming down the line here soon from Dialed Motion and Rep Fitness that might challenge this. The leg developer to me is one of the key aspects when considering the Hyper Pro versus the other Nordic Combo machines on the market. If you want to add this to your space, nothing else has the leg developer. And this one works pretty damn well. The upper body kit is an offering they added for the leg developer at launch. I tested a lot of stuff with this, going pretty heavy on some movements, and for the most part having some decent success. And then after that, I never used it again. I've got multiple cable machine options, dumbbells, specialty bars. If your gym is fairly bare bones, maybe all you have is the Hyper Pro, this is a solid addition that takes up legitimately no space and I believe is currently included with your leg developer purchase. It just doesn't serve a purpose in my gym. I'm never going to set up the Hyper and the leg developer when I could just do a seated row. No complaints here, just don't expect that this is some replacement for a well-rounded gym if you're chasing down hypertrophy goals. The belt squat is the most recent addition to the lineup and it gives us belt squats and calf raises. And like the upper body kit, it appears to be included for free with the leg developer currently. When Freak Athlete was here and testing it with me early on, I told them it probably isn't meant for heavy squatters. They agree. The lever arm isn't very long, which means the range of motion isn't super great. This means you need more plates to feel it and you just aren't getting the same training effect from this as a more robust offering. But at a certain point, people need to realize that this costs $350 and it comes with the leg developer and the upper body kit and all the other stuff included. It's not a suitable replacement for a dedicated belt squat machine if that's something you need in your space. My dude Matt Porter recently launched the TNT Hellbox belt squat, which is $300 on its own, and the Rhino costs over $2,500, not to mention the space requirements for that. So anyone who needs a belt squat for powerlifting purposes needs to pony up for something much closer to the real deal. Okay, now we are at the should I buy this section of the video. If you bought the original Nordic Hyper GHD, you might be considering their upgrade kit or even selling the original and buying the Hyper Pro outright. I personally don't think we have such major improvements that you need to sell your original one, but the GHD pad is a major improvement. On its own versus the full upgrade is only a $30 difference currently, so I'd probably just buy the upgrade kit and you're in business. Otherwise, skip it entirely, keep using the Nordic Hyper GHD, and just live your life. The Hyper Pro is one of half a dozen Nordic Combo machines on the market today. In our experience and opinion so far, it's still the best. It does the most stuff, has the most attachments, and has the least amount of compromises on the various exercises and features. It really shines if you want to do the majority of these movements, if you plan to take advantage of the leg developer, and if you have multiple athletes from big to small in your space. The Tip Bar Guy NBE V2 does Nordics, back extensions, and hip thrusts, and costs a couple $100 less. No GHD, no leg developer, and a few small gripes, but overall decent. The Nord bench is considerably smaller and cheaper, has band hookups, but has some more play to it. No leg developer, you get it. Ironmaster showcased their Nordic attachment at Home Gym Con for the Super Bench. You could grab a leg developer and hyper piece and be pretty close to the Hyper Pro. All of this is going to boil down to your needs. We are using the Hyper Pro multiple times a week. In my own program, I rotate through back extensions, Nordics, and glute ham raises as a posterior chain accessory. And the leg extensions and leg curls with the leg developer and cable attachment are our go-to options in our space. Because it can accommodate all of us and do so much so well, it has rightfully earned its space in our gym. But my gym is not your gym. If you have only one athlete, plan to grab that dialed motion leg developer, can do Nordics with a DIY hack you have set up, and don't really like back extensions, well, that decision starts to look quite a bit different for you. So what do you think? Is the Hyper Pro and all the fix-ins the next addition to your gym? Are you gonna check out another Nordic bench, or maybe skip the Nordic curl phase entirely? Drop it in the comments below. If you're looking for more help on this topic, I've got a link in the description that has my article on all of the Nordic machines we've used, the various pros and cons, and full articles for you as well. And if you are looking for something a bit smaller to train hip thrusts and split squats at home, check out this video right here. If you want to make sure you don't miss anything I'm working on, behind the scenes details, training tips from coaches and lifters, first thoughts on new products, sales, and more, sign up for my Garage Gym community newsletter. If you liked the video, hit that thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll be back with more home gym awesomeness for all of you very soon.